Hello, I'm Sky, and welcome to part 2 of my strawberry cow ear tutorials. Today we're going to be talking about painting, horn sculpting, and decorations. Thank you. So we're going to start off with our freshly sculpted ears and our various paints and our painting plate, paintbrush and toothbrush. Don't use that on your teeth, and some water. Alright. So first I took some red paint and some white paint and I mixed them together to create a very nice light pink. I'm going to be using this color to paint out the inside of the ears, kind of like how you see in cats and cows, how they have that little pink part inside their ears. See me mixing my paint, speed mix. Alright, so once I have my paint mix, I'm going to go ahead and take the water and add it to the paint. The reason why you want to water down your paint is because we're going to be painting directly onto the fur. So we're going to be taking this watered down paint mixture and brushing it directly onto our fur. This helps to make sure that the paint doesn't get clumped up inside of the fur and instead goes on in a more natural, almost dye-like fashion. So here's me brushing in my light pink, going in little sections, and you're going to see some of the paint sort of build up as we continue. Don't worry about it being clumpy right now, it still needs time to dry. So you see I'm just kind of painting inside the ear and I sort of brought it out to the edges. And I just sort of repeat the process on the other side, making sure that I keep my paint a nice watery consistency because I don't want it to clump. Doing some touch-ups. Building up some more of the paint on the inner ear where it's more pink. And you see the issue with using toothbrushes and fur is sometimes the fur can get stuck in the toothbrush, so make sure you clean it out every once in a while so that you can keep that nice brush shape. Okay, so here I'm going to start with outlining the outer edges of the ear with almost a darker color pink. And I do this for two reasons. One is a stylistic choice. I wanted my ears to be a little bit more cartoony and pop out on the edges a bit more. And the other reason is to hide the seams. So you see there's some back seams over here. I just sort of colored over with this nice darker pink. And for the seams that are a bit more open, you'll see a bit of the backing of the fur. And with that, I just take my paintbrush and a little bit more of the thicker paint, so not watered down, and just fill them in. And repeat on the next side. You can see the collection of the pink fur I've collected off my toothbrush sitting there. Fill in the seams with some more darker paint. And there we have the inner ear done, and I guess the outer ear. Alright, next step is again more of the mixed pink paint, watered down, so we can get it nice and brushed through the fur. And now I'm going to start on the back spots. So with this, I sort of took a little bit of paint, and now I'm just kind of outlining a general cow spot shape, which are kind of like irregular circles. And after I have it outlined, I'll take more paint and sort of fill in the insides, making sure I brush around all of that fur so all of the little fibers can get covered in paint. And you see me continuing on with the shape, blocking out more spots for our ears. Ooh, little peanut break. Gotta pat the cat. Gotta keep her from sniffing my work. Yes, so I just outlined the spots and I filled them in. There's really no rhyme or reason to these spots. It's just sort of whatever I felt like at the moment. But if you'd like a more accurate version or a more realistic cow, I would suggest looking at reference images of cow's ears, because I'm pretty sure that cow's ears are mostly black, or mostly one solid color. Here I am adding a little paint heart to the inside. It was semi-successful. Actually, no, it wasn't successful. I ended up covering them with a little strawberry decoration. Okay, so put that one down and repeat on the next ear. I didn't do the same exact spot pattern on each ear because I wanted them to be more unique, and also that's hard to keep track of. So you see me adding different spots, different shapes. You can see on this ear more of the denser color packing. That's a cause of the fur being too wet and also me not watering down my paint enough. So the paint kind of clumped up. And there we have it. Some nice, beautiful painted strawberry cow ears. Me trying to show them off and failing. Alright, so now we're going to move on to the horns, and using this little pink bit of insulation foam, I just sort of traced out the general shape that I want. And taking a very sharp X-Acto knife, again with like the foam, we want to make sure it's sharp all the time, I just sort of cut out the shapes. I will admit this is a little bit easier if you have a hot foam cutter or a longer blade, but if you don't have that or you're working inside like I am, this blade works just fine. You'll just might need to shape it a bit more. Yeah. And there we have it, 2 little cow horns. Right, next step is we're going to sand down the horns and sort of bevel out those edges. Cow horns are typically round, but since I went for a more cartoonish look, I decided to just bevel down the edges on these horns. It's also made life a lot easier. You can get these sanding blocks over at any hardware store. I think I got mine at Home Depot. They're very handy, however, they run out of grit really fast. So only use them for smaller projects. There we have beveled versus unbeveled. And the next step is to take a little bit of jewelry wire. I'm not sure of the size or gauge of this wire. I'll be honest, I don't really know that well. But I just do about that thickness and shove them inside of the ears. In the future, I would recommend like maybe gluing them down, like putting a glob of hot glue at the end and sort of shoving them in, because I realized when I was wearing them that they kind of fell out and kind of slid all around. But yes, Mod Podge. Next, we're going to cover these horns in Mod Podge, and that can help the strength of the horns and also act as a nice primer or base for our paint so it doesn't immediately soak into the foam. And more peanut. I typically add around 2 to 3 layers of Mod Podge for each of my foam pieces. Just whatever feels like it has a nice, shiny, hard base. Yeah, you can see a little bit that the horns had started to swing around. But there they are, nice and painted. Alright, so our next step is to take a little bit more of that jewelry wire and bend it into a U shape and glue it down inside of our ear. And that's going to act as our attachment to our headband. So our headband is just a really simple one from, I think, Amazon multi-pack metal headband. Here's me lining up the ears and where I want them. You can see I started adding a little bit of decorations. I think I got those from Hobby Lobby. They're these little strawberry toothpicks, and I just ripped out the strawberries. So to attach them to the headband and to make them like movable, you basically take the jewelry wire and wrap it around the headband. And from there they will stay on and you can move them around. Albeit they're a little bit loose, so if you want a tighter fit, I would grab more jewelry wire or a longer one and just begin wrapping that around tighter. Oh, hello, Peanut. Always got to check on the quality of the work. This jewelry wire's gauge is pretty low or high. I actually don't know. Anyways, it's easy to bend with my fingers, but if it's hard to bend, I would use a wire cutter or a wire bender. A little tool that grabs onto wires. I'm not a jewelry maker. I don't know that much. There we have it. Our little cow ears attached to the bottom of our headband. And here is my final products. As you can see, the little strawberry decoration, the backs, the little horns on top. Again, horns were attached the same way that the ears were. See, they're a little floppy, but they're not like, they didn't fall off. I made some of the more accessories with some ribbon I found, fake strawberries and bells from Hobby Lobby, Joann's, Michael's, just anything to spice it up. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Sorry that this one kind of took a little bit to get out. YouTube hasn't been my primary focus as I focus more on my cosplay on my Instagram and Twitter. But if you want to check me out there, it's listed right on the left on my socials. And if you'd like to support me, I have a Patreon and a Ko-Fi that you can just toss little coins at me. Make me a little happy witcher. And yes, I just want to give an extra special thank you to my patrons, Ubbie, Patrick G, Panda, and J Alex B. Thank you all so much for supporting my work, and I always keep it real for y'all. Anyways, bye-bye. Thank you.